Ah yes, there is a lot of tea to unpack in this one video. Of course, I'm pretty sure all of you guys are familiar with the college admissions process, and I think it's no secret that people will go to great lengths to get to the college that they deem elite or prestigious. I feel like college in popular culture, at least in America, has been put on this pedestal and seen as this like cornerstone of a person's life. For many people, college has a price tag outside of tuitions and fees, and that's what I want to dive in on this video. I don't want to sound self-righteous. I am aware that I am a part of the problem too, but I do want to discuss the problems that I see with this process and how we should avoid falling into those traps. When you first start actually researching the college admissions process, you go online, you'll probably stumble upon blogs such as College Confidential, PrepScholar, or subreddits like Applying to College or Chance Me. So when I was a sophomore particularly, I fell down a rabbit hole of just reading every single college admissions blog in the world. When I was scrolling through all of this stuff online, I was just being exposed to so many people that were objectively way more talented than I am. I mean, they had better stats, they had killer extracurriculars, and they had stacks of honors and awards. This experience really crippled my self-esteem, as I was always thinking, hey, if a blank username didn't get into UC Berkeley with XYZ, I'm never gonna get in. But I think with time, I've realized that people online are just people. You can't condense someone to a list of extracurriculars or grades or GPA or test scores. Additionally, people online tend to hyperinflate their stats, their abilities, their chances, and they also reword certain activities into something that is a lot grander than it actually is in real life. So you never really know if these people are telling the truth or not. Additionally, this is an example of, I believe, self-selecting bias, where people that choose to respond, or in this case, post to online forums, are generally more interested and more qualified in the topic matter. Someone who doesn't care about college at all is probably not going to be posting or looking out for college advice online. I remember posting a Chance Me thread, and if you don't know what that is, essentially you post your stats, your extracurriculars, you post the schools you're applying to, and then people will comment whether you have a high or a low chance to that school. And I remember people saying that I would have no chance and that my app was disjointed because I liked speech and I like art at the same time, so it didn't tell a whole complete story or a whole passion, and it genuinely made me feel so depressed.
I wanted to jump in and say that what they told me was complete BS. Just do what makes you happy. I know that sounds cliche, but don't do things because it'll look better on an app.
People online on these blogs, for the most part, aren't even verified admissions counselors. They're just high school students like you taking a shot in the dark. They don't really know what these schools are looking for because these elite colleges are so holistic. I feel like exposing myself constantly to this culture made me feel a lot worse about myself and lose trust in my application, which is probably the last thing you want to do. So I would definitely recommend using these internet resources sparingly and in moderation, or you just end up losing your self-worth to a bunch of random usernames online. Next is the really juicy part of the toxicity of college admissions, which is actually gaming and trying to cheat the process. But in this video, I'm going to talk more about like middle class methods that I've seen some of my peers use. I've seen so many kids start up fake nonprofits, which aren't even IRS recognized nonprofits, so technically they're kind of in trouble with the IRS, which I would not do. So they would have these flimsy nonprofits with general initiatives and no actual impact on their community. It was just blog posts and like an Instagram account. The thing that sucks the most in situation is not the IRS, surprisingly. However, it's that these people that devote so much time into fabricating fake nonprofits could actually use that time to make some good and some impact. It's really not hard to look for people who need help. There are volunteer service matches, there are food pantries all around the country, So I don't think the country is in shortage of needing help, especially with a crisis right now. I find it honestly kind of sad that people are faking altruism instead of actually just getting out there and lending a helping hand. The people that do decide to take this route are kind of utilizing and weaponizing true poverty and suffering, which is not a good thing. Alongside fake nonprofits, there's obviously fake clubs and fake leadership positions. There are so many people I've seen that just create clubs to be clubs and then just give everybody a leadership role. Of course, it's no secret that having the qualities of a leader is very admirable, but just establishing these fake placeholder name cards for you to use isn't helping you whatsoever. There are so many extracurriculars out there that you can take part in, like speech and debate, band, sports, that actually will give you tangible results that you can prove and you can show off in your Common App essay and just better yourself with. Additionally, admissions office have also been more stringent on this, so it's important to recognize the ramifications of your actions. Lying on your application is fraud. And I've heard a lot of stories about people who they actually did get into their dream schools because of this resume, but once they attended their dream school, they felt a deep sense of regret and guilt, and they started developing an inferiority complex. So while you're in high school, just seize all the opportunities you have. Devotion and interest goes a lot longer than just having a fake treasury position. Finally, my last part of this segment that I completely forgot about is forging relationships with people, not for the sake of relationship, but rather to get a college rec or something else in return. I recently heard a story about how a kid at my school wanted to join an extracurricular, which he hated, by the way, and would always trash talk about just because he wanted to get into the good graces of the coach and get a recommendation from the coach. And it was honestly just so disgusting how he was going to manipulate this amazing coach slash teacher into getting what he wants. With a motive like that, you're just losing your integrity, and it's just sad to know that teachers who put in so much effort for you are just being conned so you can get into a higher ranked college. Same thing with people who use other people for notes or tests and pretend to be their friend. It makes for a very toxic relationship. Next is elitism. I'm not talking about the institutions themselves, but the sense of elitism that I have seen from high school students is honestly just appalling sometimes. People genuinely look down at others for having below a 30 ACT. I remember people telling me that my GPA wasn't high enough to apply to my dream school. And it just really stung because I know what I'm capable of and I know what my abilities are. So we shouldn't be talking for other people, and we shouldn't feel this sense of superiority when we don't really know people that much. Having a higher ACT, having a higher GPA doesn't make you a better person. Additionally, I don't know why this is necessary to say, but treat your friends and your peers with respect. If they truly have what is considered a low score or a low GPA or something like that, talk to them nicely. I remember we were in class one day and SAT scores came out, and this dude got 50 points lower than his target or goal score, and this other dude, we'll call him Dude B, comes in and just starts badgering Dude A on how he did terrible and he's not going to get into his top school and he has to retake all of his ACTs. This Dude A got a 1510 on his SAT. It's so ridiculous to me that we boil down people's worth and people's competency into a single number. And sure, say you think that person is average. It doesn't mean those comments should leave your mouth. Feeling this sense of superiority over others doesn't take you anywhere. It's like people just need to sit down and be humble. You could focus more on helping others or working on yourself instead of criticizing others and demeaning others for their choices and making them feel less worthy when you're not even the judge. With all of that in mind, do I think that the college admissions is going to radically change in the next year or two, or maybe decades to come? I don't necessarily think so. Within itself, holistic admissions isn't a terrible thing. It gives opportunities to applicants who may not be great test scorers or had some sort of financial or family difficulty that impaired them from obtaining a good GPA. However, holistic admissions can be so vague that people will do whatever it takes just to fatten up their resume, and they're destroying their identity and their relationships and their integrity in the process. Naturally, it's quite a human thing. We want what's best for us, but I think realizing what I have now, I feel liberated. I also feel more secure with myself than I have ever been in the past. It's natural for the admissions process to feel overwhelming and tiring and time-consuming, but if you push through, you're gonna end up somewhere. And that somewhere may not be Princeton and it might not be Yale, but that doesn't mean all hope is lost. There will be a beginning to everything.